Hey guys, Tommy Bryson here, and credit. It is super important, but if you don't know how it works, there are a lot of mistakes you can make that can end up costing you money, not for a few years, but for a lot of years. I know people that are still paying for furniture and TVs they got back in college because they didn't know exactly how to use a credit card, how to build credit, and how to do the whole thing. And I made a lot of mistakes because I got advice from people that did not know anything about building credit. My teachers told me, Tommy, just pay a little bit above the minimum. That way you'll finish a lot faster. Bad advice. Tommy, just buy something big and pay over time to build credit. Bad advice. And the worst thing is when you don't know anything about something, you just blindly trust that person, and whatever they tell you, even if it's the biggest lie ever, you believe it. You fall for it because you don't know anything about it. It's like my grandma when the first TV arrived in her town and the guy told her, hey, these people, they work from 9 to 5, so only turn on from 9 to 5 because that's when the people come inside the TV to basically do their job. They thought the people would come inside the TV to perform the task. When you don't know, you don't know, okay? So in this video, I'm gonna give you 10 pieces of very valuable information to make sure you don't make mistakes that would cost you a ton of money in the long run. And stick around to the end because I'll teach you exactly how to get a credit card, how to make sure you actually get basically, what is that word? Approved for it, and also how to basically build credit without any of the debt. As always, guys, destroy the like button and top out. Also, subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. Now, let's go right into this video. The very first mistake people make is they go ahead and say, I can afford the minimum payments, so I can afford to buy this thing that I'm trying to buy. The answer is not true. A minimum payment is just 1% of the balance plus the fees, plus also the interest, so if you buy a $100 shirt, theoretically that's like $1 plus the interest and the fees. Everything sounds good, but whenever you start maxing out credit cards left and right, those minimums can basically add up all together, and before you know it, you're paying Best Buy, Macy's, Citi, Discovery, Chase. You're paying all these banks like $100 each, and you're like, I can't even afford to make the minimum payments. And by the way, by paying the minimum payment, usually that plan is for like 7 years. So you're stuck paying the minimum on all these cars for the next 7 years and being charged a bunch of interest. You never, ever, ever want to pay the minimum. What you want to do is borrow just enough so you can basically pay it off in full that same month and not have to worry about any interest whatsoever. Now, number 2 is I'm getting cash back and I'm also getting points. Now, big thing here is I used to justify purchases because basically I either got a discount or I got insurance or, for example, I got cash back or whatever. Studies show, there was a study done in Harvard that show basically people that use a credit card tend to spend around 18% more than they would if they just use regular cash. Meaning that yes, although you get 2% back or 1.5% back or 3% or 5%, usually that's the cap, the answer is you're usually going to be spending a lot more money. My idea is always make sure whatever you want to buy on a credit card per se, if you want to use that method, not my method by the way, just make sure you know what you're going to buy and you buy it and don't use points to justify anything. Because overspending and getting back, for example, a penny for every dollar you spend is not ever going to make you wealthy whatsoever, okay? So that's the idea. Don't justify things by getting points or cash back or whatever perks they're trying to give you. Number 3 is I need it to build credit. The truth is, when I got my first credit card, I wanted to buy a MacBook laptop. I justified spending $3,000 on a laptop by saying, well, this is going to help me build credit. In reality, you don't need a credit card to build credit. There's something called manual underwriting. So whenever you go buy a home and you never had a credit card before, as long as you have pay stubs and basically a history of bills, that's all they need to give you a credit profile. So credit cards just make the process a lot more easier than it would than doing manual underwriting, but it's not really a necessity to actually build credit whatsoever. So that's actually not true. That's actually a lie, okay? Just so you actually understand how the game actually works. Number 4 is balance transfers to build up even more debt. What is a balance transfer, Tommy? Well, this happens a lot. So let's say, for example, you have a credit card and you max it out. They're charging you a bunch of interest. Usually, you'll get an offer in the mail saying, hey, we have this other other credit card, it has the promotion to give you a balance transfer where we don't charge you any interest for the next 18 months or 12 months. So what you do is you transfer the balance from this maxed out credit card to the other credit card, and now you're able to pay it off without any interest for the next 12 months or 18 months. I've done this before, and usually you pay like 5%, and that's basically it when you actually transfer the balance, 5% of the original balance. So let's say $1,000, you pay like $50, okay? That's a lot better than paying, for example, a bunch of interest, okay? Everyone would agree with that. But the idea is a lot of people, they do the balance transfer, and instead of paying off that card and not going back into debt, they have the balance transfer over here. They basically just pay the minimum over here, and they go over here to the new credit card or the old credit card with the zero balance now, and they max it out again. So now you have two credit cards, okay? And they're both maxed out. Never make that mistake. Use balance transfers to help you pay something off without interest, but don't use it to build up even more debt over time by maxing out the credit card you transfer the balance over to. That's the idea. Now, number 5, they use it as an emergency account. I've heard this 3 times in my lifetime, and I count them because every time I hear it, I get so mad. You never want to use something that can hurt you as a tool to help you during times of needs. It just makes absolutely no sense. It's like saying, this is my emergency car. The only thing is whenever I use it, it might crash randomly or the brakes might go up randomly. I don't want that, okay? Because if you use a credit card during times of needs, for example, somebody passes away, your car breaks down, you swipe, what do you have now? A bunch of debt, interest is accruing, and everything else. My idea is if you want to build a successful emergency account, just start by putting aside some money every single time you get paid, and try to build it up to at least a minimum of 1 month of your expenses, and then work on building it up to 3 months. And this way, when something bad happens, you can cover those expenses and not have to worry about interest and my credit score is going to go all the way down, or I can't make any payments. Because guess what? When something bad happens, emergencies, always, usually, they tend to be followed up with something that's worse. So I got into a car accident, used my credit card, all of a sudden now I got fired. Okay, things like that happen all the time, so you don't want to add that stress. So yeah, get a real emergency account. Number 6, pay it over time. Interest is not a big deal. Now, I want to teach you guys something that was not taught to me when I was first learning about money and finance, okay? Interest is very important. Now, there are 3 levels of interest. You have what the credit card is going to charge you, you have what you can make as an investment, and you have what you can make basically without any risk whatsoever. You probably never heard that before, right? No one tells you this. So, for example, risk-free investment would be, for example, you put in your money into the government. So the government has these bonds. Whenever you buy these bonds, they give you, for example, like 2%. That's all they really give you, just 2%. And it's risk-free because in order for you not to get paid, the government has to shut down, and they can always just print more money and pay you. So it's impossible. That's why it's risk-free. So you can make 2%, basically no risk. And as an investment, you want to make enough, for example, to cover that 2%, plus cover 3% inflation, plus cover taxes of 1%, and also go ahead and make yourself a decent profit of at least 3%. Okay, so overall, you want somewhere around 7 to 8% as an investment in a sense, right? So you're making like around 8% on an investment. Now, if you're making 8% from investments, so let's say, for example, you have $100 invested, $1,000 is fine, doesn't matter, and you're making 8%. That's around $80. Now, equal. A credit card charges you, for example, usually 18% at the minimum. So you're looking at $180. So how do you get wealthy if you're making 80 and you're spending 180? The answer is you don't. You never get wealthy. You never move forward. That's the idea, because credit card interest is super crazy, and it also fluctuates. So you're paying 18%, 24%. It's ridiculous, okay? If I could figure out a way to make that much money for my investments, I would never have to worry about money for like my grandparents' children's children from the other side of my generation, okay? Doesn't make sense, but that's how crazy that money is. So interest is a big deal, and you don't want to pay anyone that much money. Pay your credit card balance in full every single month to avoid interest. Number 7 here. I'll use up all the money to help my credits. This is basically maxing out your credit, okay? The answer is the way your credit works is very simple and it's very common sense, but people don't use common sense here because no one teaches them this common sense. And the idea is, if, for example, I tell you, hey, you can come to my store and I'm going to give you a credit line of $10,000, and you come the first day and you use up $10,000, I'm going to be a little worried. Because the first day I give you this credit line, you basically come ahead and you basically max it out. Now, when you go over to somebody else's business and say, hey, I want to get a credit line over here too, they're going to be like, no, you maxed out over there. You're not going to come over here and max out here until you pay over there. Meaning when you max out, this is called credit utilization. When you have that above 10%, it hurts your credit. It doesn't help your credit. So no. Maxing out your credit card or your credit account and paying it over time doesn't help you. It just happens to register those payments, and when the balance comes down, you have a positive effect because you have those registered payments that actually help with your payment history. But overall, you would get the same effect by having, for example, a very small balance, using less than 10% of it, and paying that in full every single month. And that way, you avoid interest too, which is actually pretty good. Now, number 8, it's just one late payment. It's not a big deal. The answer is, it is a big deal. It is a massive deal. Late payments take, I think, about 2 years. Is it 2 years? Let me do my research real quick and come back to you guys because this is editing. Yeah, so late payments actually stay on your credit for like around 7 years, okay? Excuse my spelling, but like around 7 years. So no, that one late payment is gonna stay there for a long time, and it affects you because whenever you're getting your first apartment, they'll be like, why did you miss that payment? Whenever you're getting, for example, a mortgage, why did you miss that payment? Remember, when you're borrowing money, what people care about is basically, is this person going to be responsible enough to pay me my money back? So whenever you have any missed payments, whether it's 1 or 3 or 5 or 10, it still affects you in some way. So try to never miss a payment. And I've missed payments in the past. Call the company, explain the error, and then went ahead and remove it. But never be content with having a late payment in your account. Call the bank, call the credit card, and try to get it removed as basically as a first time thing. Okay, just say that, and it usually works out just great. Now, number 9. I never check the balance, I just pay in full, and I never have to worry about paying interest. The answer is, that is true. You can do that, but you never want to do that. Every single month, and by the way, I don't do this like at all, really, and I should start doing it. Like, and that's what I'm telling you, I make mistakes too. And it's basically, you want to basically reconcile your statement every single month. And that basically means you look over it and make sure all those purchases, you actually made them, okay? Because sometimes you might be getting finessed. There might be fraudulent stuff going on in your account and you might not notice it. So it's very important to go over your statement and say, hey, I didn't shop at Victoria's Secret last month, okay? What is that? Why is that there? You know what I mean? So I don't go there. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you review your credit account to make sure that what you actually have there are things you bought and someone is not basically playing you and using your credit information. Fraud is a very real thing, and you got to check out for your own self to make sure that you're actually fine. Number 10, and the last one here. I don't use it, so I'm going to go ahead and close this credit card. Now, I had this idea a very long time ago, and thank God I did not listen to myself. And it was the first credit card that I got. Remember the one I told you guys I used to get a MacBook, which was very stupid? Well, that credit card, I was going to close it down because, I don't use it, no big deal, blah, blah, blah. The answer is, if you close down a credit card with the most history or any history in your account, is going to negatively usually affect your credit score temporarily. And that makes a big deal because it takes down your credit history. So if you have, for example, the 7-year history on this card, a 3-year history in this card, they combine them and they kind of make an average. When you take away that 7 year, well, you're only left with 3 years. You're like, oh my gosh, what's this? Okay, it lowers your credit score by a few points. That's a big deal, especially when you're trying to buy a home or whatever you're actually trying to do. So my advice is, keep these old cards active just by having a small bill on them. Now, if it is costing you, for example, money every single year because you have, for example, some fee or whatever, the answer is, understand when you do cancel it, you're going to take a temporary hit. But overall, guys, that is it. These are the 10 mistakes. And if you made it all the way to this video, I want you to comment down below 10. This way, I know you made it all the way to the end of the video. And this way, I know you are a real person. So if you want to comment down below a comment 10, then your comment, because there are a lot of bots and I can't keep up with it. So comment 10 so I automatically know you are a real person. 10 or TEN 10, okay? Now, here's the bonus I wanted to give you guys. If you're brand new to credit, get a secure credit card. They ask you to basically deposit $100. They use your own money as a credit balance, and that way you can almost guarantee you're going to get the card. And that's basically with Capital One, also with Discovery, and they work great. Chime has one, and also Self-Lender has one. Okay, I just give you 4 options there. On top of that, if you want to build credit without any debt, use the OBM method. That basically means one bill method, made up myself. And that basically means you put a small bill on each credit card, Netflix, your phone bill, electricity bill, internet bill, on just a small bill. You cut the real credit card, and basically you have it pay itself off in full every single month. And this way, you have a small bill, it's paid off in full every single month. You don't build up any interest. You don't have a crazy amount of debt, but over time you build up credit because you're registering a payment and you have a low balance, and that actually helps and it hacks the whole system. That's how I build my credit score up to. Let's see what my credit score is because it's important. Imagine I gave you guys all this advice. Then I pull up my Credit Karma, which is what I use to check my credit score, and I have like a 200 credit score, and you're like, whoa, this guy just gave me all this advice, and before you know it, like it's just trash advice. No, my credit score right here, which is loading up, is around 767, as you can see right there. It's the real app. It's not a picture, as you can see. Can you move this stuff? I don't know if yeah, you can move this up. See, it's a real app. Okay, so that's my credit score. So all this advice is advice I wish I got a long time ago, but I didn't. And one last thing, if you ever apply for a credit card, even a secured credit card, and you get rejected, call in. Say, hey, I have a job, I have money, I have cash, I don't have that many bills. I must have gotten rejected because of my lack of history. What's going on? What can I do to actually get accepted? Don't take a rejection as basically acceptance. You call in and you basically try to show them that you're actually a good prospect. But overall, you don't need a credit card, but it makes the conversation a lot easier when you're going to buy a house because these payments register a lot faster. But use the OBM method to do it without the debt and without the problems. Guys, thanks for watching. As always, appreciate you guys a ton. Like this video, it helps a ton. Subscribe if you're new. I post videos every single day about money, finance, making passive income and investing, all that good stuff. On top of that, follow me on Instagram at Tommy Bryson. Comment down below with 10 so I know you're a real person. Up here is another video, and over here is my face. Click it and subscribe. Long-term team officially out.